Some of them, most of them. All of these and some's not on here. Just talking and talking. Look,
of all this circus
I
as it's
love
becoming, you're the one I trust the most of the and you really were a survivor. But BJ's
I'm
asking,
turn
I'm
it like
curious too, like
this.
the circus,
I'm
these
sorry.
people. I know you don't like to rat people out, but what do we do as content creators when we're noticing something's off?
Yeah, great question. I think the best thing you can do, like, of course, you guys preface it by saying the views expressed on this channel are solely those of the, the contributor and not representative of the show. And then it's okay to challenge people on things. It's okay. I do understand that people are victims and have been victimized. What I think is happening is turning sensationalist type of thing. And like I was talking to Andy about, I watched this happen 20-something years ago during my trial.
Tell him what you said about that, actually, because when I had you on, I wanted you to talk about this specifically. You saw the media manipulation already 20 years ago in this way, right?
And there was no social media. So it was the hip-hop magazines, the radio stations, the urban radio market, the media, the mainstream media, newspapers, and he would have his street team literally on the street with massive signs walking around saying, hey,
their names
free Diddy, or, let him go, and he's a good black man and all that stuff. And it was a circus. I watched those people manipulated, and that's why I had a love-hate relationship with social media for so long. It took me a long time to come into the fray because I was viral before there was something called viral, and it wasn't a nice feeling.
Right.
So I love that you guys handle people with care. If you have questions and something doesn't pass the smell test, it's okay to press people like, hey, here's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. What do you have to say about this? There seems to be contradictions. And give them the opportunity to express. Now, it's not lost on me also that victimized people oftentimes have a hard time expressing themselves. Sometimes trauma, sometimes they're uneducated, undereducated, things like that. And then there's an intimidation with speaking to someone who does public speaking regularly. So some people can, whenever there feels like there's an authoritarian in the room, people, kind of shrug down. The difference with me is I'm no shrinking violet. I'm an old, tough Brooklyn girl, but I have the ability to communicate, and I do so with ease, and it makes it easier for me, but it doesn't mitigate anything anybody else has been through or make it less important. And I want to reference that, like, their story's not less important. For me on my platform, I came out with the follow-up video because I don't need exacerbations, exaggerations, hyperbole, and untruths. Just tell me the truth.
Disagree.
Yes, tell me the truth. I can't allow anybody to use my platform for anything other than the truth. So
I'm just sitting here.
That's why I said what I said.
All these YouTubers, just all my people I watch, just
and sometimes there is a knee-jerk reaction to want to maybe like,
Mims
went away. Maybe a knee-jerk reaction to maybe me even, right? Like want to make an excuse. Like
they're talking about
maybe it's maybe she didn't remember. Maybe she this and that. But it's like no. At some point, like there's factual discrepancies, and it's the loyalty. If our loyalty has lies with the truth, then
whether they believe them or not,
to get to the truth. And when there's different facts, then you haven't gotten to the truth yet, in my opinion. And so it does feel, Mim said it, I don't know, maybe he got disconnected, maybe he'll come back, maybe he had to run, but he said it earlier, like nobody wants to be discrediting a victim, It's like, I think all of us have been through things in our life that would be, different levels, different various, and it's like, we all know what it feels like to not be believed whenever something bad happened. And then you take that and amplify it to the highest degrees by the biggest people, and really
I just seen all the content
being attacked and
creators on here that I like.
Who am I to say somebody's
and I'm catching them all.
But that,
he just did an interview
allegations
with
it's like, what's the true story? Because it matters.
So they're trying to find out whether or not to believe
it's hard.
Ariel and Misha.
And here's one.
So they just discussing, and I just went live on
traumatized people.
That's all.
Don't get it out right.
Please subscribe and hit the like button,
and I'm not going to ever
please.
say that these women were not victimized. What I'll say is, while I know they were victimized to some degree, As with any
Now that's the one that got
approach
shot
to
in the
telling a story,
face. That's
you cannot
Natanya
either
Rubin.
confirm or deny until there are more reputable facts, and that's it. But I won't disavow them. I will just simply
And her
say,
channel is
I
the
invite
dopest
anybody to speak to me
nerd.
because I don't ever talk
THA.
about
The dopest
you know, the
nerd.
details of the story. What I talk about is, who are you? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Thank you, Sarah.
What do you think led you off the rails? Where do you see your future? I always try to focus future forward, future focusing. And so when I'm
YouTube Arctic Rain,
giving
thank
you a platform by which people can see you as a human and not as a caricature of yourself, all I ask is that you just be honest with me, and that's it.
Thoughts, everyone else? Pascal?
I do have to head out, but BJ,
okay,
thank you so
Rabbit,
much for
thank
inviting
you
me.
for coming.
Pascal, Mims,
I don't know her
the
though.
dopest nerd
The
in
rabbit.
China. Shout out to you,
I don't
Andy.
know
I
her.
will see you guys. Okay, you guys have a great one.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
And I just met him today. Not
so,
met
Pascal,
him.
have
Not
you
really met him.
come into any of these kind of conundrums,
And I
like
saw
not knowing what
him
to talk about, not wanting to
2
take a
days
certain
ago.
stance? Like, could you speak to how you, as a, you know, content creator, have dealt with some of this dynamics and some of these considerations lately?
I think that's the main issue for a lot of whenever you hear anyone's, you know, a victim's account on anything. Because of course, we all have a heart, we all care, we all don't want to be rude or mean or be naysayers or victim blame or anything of that sort. So yeah, it can be really tough, especially when you're listening to these interviews and sometimes they seem to go off the rails with the details and you're going, wait a second, hold up, pause for a second. What was just said there? Because that doesn't make sense, you know. So there's certain things that you have to keep in mind, you know, keep that in the back of your mind. It's very easy for us to just jump down their throats and say, you know, hey, you know, you're lying, you're full of ish and whatever it is, you know. And so for me, that's the toughest part, because we're all logical people. We all think independently and critically, most of us do at least. And you know, I think it's really tough when you hear pieces of information and you go, wait a second, that timeline ain't timelining so much now. But I still have to err on the side of being sensitive and understanding that this is what somebody went through and how they're talking about it, how they speak about it, the vibrations that are coming out of them, that gives a certain vibe of, man, they went through something. Whether it's completely accurate or not, they went through something here, and it's intense. And maybe, and well, you know, I know that might upset a few people when I say this, but maybe it's not the internet that they should be expressing their feelings towards. Maybe it's going to a professional and working those things out. Not to say that they're not going to those professionals, but instantly I'm thinking, you know, to speak on those things is pretty intense. And yeah, it'd be nice if hopefully they are talking to or have some sort of support system for these individuals. So yeah, it's tough because, you know, like I said, yeah, I have a good time on my show. I'm silly, you know, but I stick with the facts. I try to stick with the facts as best as I can. Talk about what's going on in this particular case. But then when you start listening to the victims,
make it make sense, Mims.
Yeah, there's a lot of push and pull because, of course,
he has a good
the
show
logic
too.
Side of you, the practical side of you, wants to jump on it and go, wait, technically you didn't say that before. Now you're saying something different. So yeah,
right.
Especially
because, like, for me, that's my whole thing. My whole thing is like, let's look at the court documents, let's look at the public record, let's compare, and let's do a little matchy match. And a lot of times it's like, you know, P. Diddy or Donald Trump or someone who, like, it doesn't matter if I'm offending that person, they probably you know, deserve it or something. But then it's like, okay, now it's someone alleging to be a victim who has pictures of inside of a recording studio with Diddy. Like, this is definitely somebody who knew Diddy. And then it's like, okay, so then what?
He's friends like with Tisa Tales.
Uncharted.
And I follow her a lot.
But I mean, all of that being said, like, I'm still going to keep doing what I'm doing. You know, I'm going to have as much empathy and sympathy as I can. But ultimately, my loyalty, like I keep on saying, it's got to be with the truth.
Right.
We're trying to figure out the truth is. So I'm trying to be as respectful as possible getting to that. You know, I don't think you have to be a bull in a china cabinet type of thing.
Yeah, but I also say this too. I think there's a respectful way that you can approach the questions or ask the questions. I think there's a way that you can ask the questions without just attacking or victim blaming as well. You see what I'm saying? Because you know, some other people would be like, she lying, she capped the entire time, and it's like, wait a second, how about just ask the questions? You know, if you got the questions, just ask the questions. You know, but just do it in a respectful manner. You see what I'm saying? Instead of just attacking them, because you never know. They, you know, it could be 110% the truth. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I wrestled with that because I was constantly trying to figure out what do I ask Adria, and then Adria's like, "Do you want to talk to Misha?" And I'm like, "I don't know if I want to talk to Misha yet." It's a tough balance. But I also wanted to say, Pascal, good to see you. It's been forever. Pascal is the real deal.
Pascal.
I see you grinding, my man. I've been meaning to reach out because you've been hitting the same stories, and I don't talk to anybody these days unless I'm going to book the interview. But shout out to you, my man. You've always been so good to us, and I'm really.
But I'm about to get off, y'all. I got
to get you on sometime. Let me know if you want to
get up,
join the conversation.
I got something to do.
I'm always down, man. Just
y'all know I'm keeping my mama.
You know, and it'll
keep
go down.
out the nursing home.
I'm down.
She's staying with me.
So I do want to.
Sorry. So the electrician is changing out the breaker.
So I will talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe out there. Things are not what they seem.
I was like, you know,
I love
maybe
y'all.
he hates
Thank
us.
you.
Maybe he's
Bye.
coming right back. We'll find out.
Literally, if you look, the lights went out.
I saw. I was like, is this a CGI?
No.